Welcome to TalkNorth.com. Thanks to our longtime producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. If you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. And please follow us on Twitter at TalkNorthPod. Two promo codes to be aware of. Bitesquad.com. Use the promo code TalkNorth to get your first delivery free. And go to SodaStick.com, the great local apparel company. Use the promo code YouBetcha to get free shipping on any sized order. This is Preps Today with John Millea. John Millea is on the phone. This is a phone edition of the show. Usually we do it in person, but we're going to experiment a little bit. John spends so much time traveling around the state. We're going to try at times to catch him in one of his other locales. Today we're just doing it for convenience sake. I just got back from the PGA Championship. John, I believe, is south of where I am right now. This is part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. Subscribe at iTunes, your favorite podcast app. Thanks to Pizza Barn Princeton. Find them actually at that website, pizzabarnprinceton.com. We'll tell you more about their business later. Even if you don't live in Princeton, you want to stop by anytime you're close to 169 going north or south. And thanks also to Bitesquad.com. We'll tell you about their deals later. Usually we don't get to the tweets right away, John, but today let's go tweet of the week first.
Yeah, this was pretty cool, Jim, at the State Robotics Championship Saturday at Williams Arena. If you'd have told me I'd have seen a girl wearing a prom dress and Harley Davidson work boots repairing a robot, I would not have thought it was probably going to happen. But it's and I wrote about this as part of a longer kind of an essay on John's Journal at mshsl.org. But there's a team from Math and Science Academy in Woodbury. They're a great robotics program there because their school is called Math and Science. And they're always at state. And their prom is always the same day as the robotics tournament. So those kids generally at some point in the day put on their prom gear. So we had boys in tuxedos and girls in long dresses, but they're still competing. They're driving their robots. They're fixing their robots. And I didn't surprise me when I saw this. I even chatted with some of the kids. I said, obvious question. I said, prom tonight, right? Just being a reporter, you got to make sure. And they said, oh yeah, same old deal. So a young lady I found out later named Addie Abrahamson, she's a junior. She's like this. She told me later, we had a little Twitter conversation. She's the number one electronics person for the robotics team. So between matches, they double check everything. It's like the Indy 500 pit crew. They're updating things. They're checking everything on their robots. And I had seen all these kids and Maddie in her nice blue prom gown. And I was actually sitting in the stands at Williams Arena, kind of taking a little break. And across the way, kind of across the court in the corner there, I see Maddie. I'm behind her. And I see there's Maddie or Addie in her prom dress. And I didn't realize what she was wearing on her feet. But she was on her knees working on the robot, and on the soles of her boots, I didn't even know she was wearing boots, like maybe tennis shoes or something. You can see the words Harley Davidson on the soles of her work boots. So I tweeted that picture and I said, if you had girl in prom dress wearing Harley Davidson boots and repairing a robot on your bingo card, you win. And this thing just blew up on Twitter. It's just the greatest because it's not something you'd ever expect to see. And the math and science kids, their team is the Fighting Calculators, which is also hilarious. And so I wrote about that, and then I put a tweet out later. I said, hey, Fighting Calculators, let me know who this is. And I got a tweet back from Addie saying, that's me. I'm the lead electronics person. And then her mom retweeted it. That's my daughter. I'm so proud. And and I ended up chatting with her mom a little bit. Mom requested a original copy of the photo that she could blow it up and give it to Addie. And then Mom also let me know the kids did make it to the prom. The robotics thing ran about an hour late. It just happens sometimes. And the prom was actually on a boat on the St. Croix River, but they convinced the boat captain to hold the boat at the dock for an extra half hour. And her mom sent me this little 5-second video clip of Addie and the rest of these kids. There were 4 or 5 of them in tuxedos and gowns, of them sprinting to the boat to get on. And Mom said, at this point, Addie wasn't wearing shoes at all, so she didn't quite know what happened to the boots or the shoes she planned. She might have been carrying her shoes. I don't know. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And if you go to John's Journal at mshsl.org, you can see that photo of the girl in the prom dress with the Harley Davidson boots working on her robot. It was really, really phenomenal. It was a great event. You know, these robotics tournaments, I talk about them all the time. They're so much fun. And it's not rare to see teams from small schools, sometimes way, way outstate schools, do well here. And the way it works is teams compete in groups of 3. There's a whole formula they use to group teams through qualifying rounds, and then into the semifinals and the championship. So you've got 3 teams working together. So your 3 state championship robotic teams are from Badger, Frazee, Vergas, and Warroad, all northern Minnesota schools. And in the finals, which was the best 2 out of 3 matches, we went to 3 matches, and those 3 teams defeated the alliance that finished in second place: Duluth, Denfeld, Westbrook, Walnut Grove, and Math and Science Academy. So the Metro was shut out at the state robotics tournament as far as championship match. But I'm going to run down some of these names of some of these robotics teams. You know, they don't use their traditional school athletic nicknames. They come up with other things like the Math and Science Fighting Calculators. Here's another one, Byron. They're the Cy Bears. Their regular teams are the Byron Bears, but they're the Cy Bears. The Eden Valley Watkins Mystery Machine. Scooby-Doo fans like us love that. Absolutely. The Henry Sibley Lightning Turtles. This one I love. Hill Murray, if anybody who follows Hill Murray sports knows, they're the Pioneers. The robotics team is the Pio-Nerds. That's world class. The Hill Murray Pio-Nerds. The Irondale Night Crawler. That's singular. That's like the Wild. That's singular. Rocori Wreckers, and the Wilmer Warp Speed. So this was great. Saturday was great at robotics. I just think it's just the coolest thing we do at the high school league, and I'm really glad I can go and sometimes find something a little goofy.
That's awesome. That's great stuff. And as John mentioned, his work appears at mshsl.org under John's Journal. Check it out. He does this kind of work all the time. All right, let's move on. And by the way, your favorite tweet of the week was my favorite tweet of the week as well. Let's move on to officials recruiting night.
Yeah, we did this one night last week at Tartan High School. A first-time endeavor. You know, we've talked a lot on our podcast about officials and how we need more officials all the time. The old guys are retiring, and we need young officials. So we were giving this a try, and the theory here was we want kids graduating from high school this spring and students who are currently in college to think about this, about becoming an official, because you can make a lot of money doing this. If you officiate, say, basketball, if you do that 5, maybe 6 days a week between high school and assorted youth games, you can really make some money during college and maybe come out of college with less debt than you would otherwise. So this was at Tartan High School in the evening. A really nice mix of young people who are interested and prospective and veteran officials. I think all the sports were and activities were represented, I think, through their officials associations. Well, it was neat to see some of these old-time veteran retired officials, you know, Hall of Fame officials who took time out of their day to come and represent their activities and officiating in general, and just chatting with these 18, 19-year-old kids, you know, young men, young women. It was really neat. They started off with like a PowerPoint presentation in the auditorium at Tartan, talking about finances, what it costs to go to college at a state school, the possible income from officiating on a regular basis. And these guys were encouraged, even if they're just going to officiate college intramural programs, they were encouraged to become officials with the high school league or the Wisconsin Association if you're going to go to school there, whatever it is. So you've got a lot of training, you've got insurance, you've got concussion training, you get all this great training. And then if you're ready to start working, youth sports and middle school and eventually high school varsity games, you'd be all set. So it was really good, a good PowerPoint. They gathered 4 recent college graduates who started officiating while they were in college. They all went to the University of Wisconsin, but now they live in the metro area. And the 4 of them talked about their experiences in college. That was really valuable. And after that, everybody went to the cafeteria where our friends from Pizza Barn in Princeton brought free pizza and water for everybody. And everybody just kind of mingled, and kids talked to different officials from different sports. And I don't know if it was the same day, but there was a tweet from the Moorhead girls lacrosse team. It was either the same day or maybe the next day, appreciating a Minneapolis crew of officials driving up to Moorhead to officiate a lacrosse game. So that kind of tells you where we're at when you've got officials driving from Minneapolis to Moorhead so the kids up there can play. There's certainly a need for more officials. So it was a start. I don't know how many high school, college kids were there, maybe a couple dozen, which was fine. And I assume they're all going to go ahead and hopefully, just from talking to a few of them, they seemed real excited. They liked what they saw. They were going to get signed up and get started, and all of them would have a mentor. A veteran official will become their mentor and kind of get the ball rolling. So we'll see more of these. I'm pretty confident. So it was a great night for the officiating world.
Well, you mentioned we've both been. You've been there more often than I have. Why don't you just tell us about Jody's business?
Yeah, Jody, stay up there in Princeton. I was waiting outside Tartan High School when she rolled in. Her son Aiden was there. He's an athlete in Princeton, and they do so much in the community. If you follow their Facebook page, Pizza Bar in Princeton on Facebook, Jody, bless her heart, on Saturday I think was standing out in the cold and the rain, doing a Facebook Live video with the Princeton High School football and hockey players. They were doing community service. It was Baldwin Township Cleanup Day. And these guys were standing out. People were bringing in tires and dropping them off. And I think it was kind of one of those, bring in your junk and we're going to take care of it here. So these guys were out doing hard labor. And Jody was out there in the cold and the rain videoing all this. And it was really showed some pretty good commitment. And I think you saw, as I did, what they did for the Game of Thrones finale Sunday night.
Yes.
At the bar. They had Game of Thrones themed pizza. They had a pizza called the Dead Cersei. And it was described as flat and meaty, just like she is now. And there was the White Walker pizza, which was basically a white pizza and toppings arranged in the symbol of the White Walkers. If you don't know Game of Thrones, that means nothing to you. But that's pretty awesome that she has fun like that up there. And we just can't thank Jody and Hayden enough for bringing all these pizzas. I don't know, they might have brought a dozen or more pizzas, a couple of big stacks of water. And they hung out. She and Aiden served pizza to everybody, and I had a few slices, and it was great. And that's really going above and beyond because we know that Jody at the Pizza Bar, and they're great supporters of activities, not just high school activities, but all kinds of community activities in Princeton and all over. And she made that 60-mile drive to Tartan High School to bring pizzas for these officials. That's really great commitment, and we love what goes on at the Pizza Barn. Absolutely.
Check them out at pizzabarnprinceton.com and stop by if you're ever near Princeton. Easy to find, as we always say. It's not the huge pizza joint, that it's the smaller pizza joint in the strip mall. You'll find it. Everybody knows where it is. Just
turn your head, you'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to, and speaking of officials, let's go to Official of the Week.
Yeah, this one's really cool. This is something you don't expect to see. Dave Harwig, a photographer up in the Duluth area, tweeted this. An umpire named Mike Ryan was working a softball game between Carleton and Esco. And then right not too far away is the baseball field and in Carleton. And apparently they had a mix-up with officials. So there wasn't anybody behind the plate for this baseball game. So Mike finished a softball game. And, and under normal circumstances, he's done. He packs up the gear and he goes home. But he walked a short distance to the baseball field and worked a baseball game. Carlton and Malacca.